Oh,
We're back. Freedom Forum 1.
Freedom Forum 1. Oh, I got to get some prayer for this.
We want to have access to our in-the-field report.
Today is the 3rd month, the 16th day in the year 2016.
Kyo.
Today, Brett and I went into shock while watching Fox News.
Oh boy.
We thought an alien abduction had occurred when Mitch McConnell gave the response to Obama announcing his nominee for the Supreme Court Justice, because it is an amazing thing. Mitch McConnell, after a lengthy surgical procedure of bone grafts, bone marrow transplants, and testosterone injections with a backpack Mediport, actually defied Obama live on TV and said, "We will follow the Biden rule."
That was so
And
awesome.
I can imagine.
Him and I are sitting at my table in the dining room going, is that Mitch McConnell?
I can imagine right after that presentation that Obama is pouring down Mylanta and acid like it was Kool-Aid from the heartburn.
No, there was smoke.
Because Joe Biden, stupid Uncle Joe, when he was a senator, opposed some Bush nominees and said that they could not vote on a candidate for the Supreme Court until the next president had been nominated, elected, and then sworn in. So,
we will see.
yes, Mitch McConnell
We will see.
hung Joe Biden around Obama's neck. It was amazing.
We wanted to bring that breaking news.
You know, we need to get a copy of that to be able to replay it, because we still think that there has been an alien abduction and that is a clone.
Amen.
That is not Mitch
Well,
McConnell.
let's do our usual. Let's start with a prayer here. Our friend Brock, our reporter in the field, sent me a nice prayer for this evening. Heavenly Father, you know every decision I need to make and every challenge I face. Please forgive me for the times that I try to figure this life out on my own. I need you. I need your Holy Spirit to give me strength, wisdom, and direction. Amen. Awesome. Thanks, Brock. And now, where are we going? We had a relatively good meeting today at the sheriff's office. Him and I at the sheriff's office.
We met with Sheriff-elect Mark Garber.
Oh, wait.
And we got to cover a number of issues.
Well, we'll get to that in a minute, but we didn't do our announcements. You have your meeting tomorrow night at Elise's.
Mm-hmm.
At what time?
6:30, and we're going to talk about that wonderful Judge Garland and this other stack that I've got here. We got quite a few things to discuss.
And then, this is the last Friday before Lent, and the best fish fry for Lent in Lafayette is the St. Edmunds KC Council 10293, located at St. Edmunds Church on the corner of West Congress and Ambassador Caffrey, is proud to again offer you delicious, freshly prepared fried catfish dinners every Friday in Lenten season, except for Good Friday, for only $8 per plate.
Goatman.
Goatman.
Go ahead.
Hey, we got no sound on Ustream.
Oh.
We'll check with our technical person, sir.
Okay. Hey, you see where Cassidy voted to keep on with the federal Common Core thing?
Yeah, the Department of Education head. Yeah, Cassidy is obviously a communist because he voted to keep that person.
I'm making a phone call when I get a few minutes to his guy in Baton Rouge. Kind of to...
You know you're already on their list.
Oh, that's an understatement. I'm surprised he doesn't have to wear a vest.
That's the least of my concerns right now.
Yeah.
Believe me. I don't want to ride a bicycle, and I won't explain that now.
He's just about there.
All right.
Just about there. All right, we'll see what we can do.
All right, thank you. Hey, Jim.
Yeah.
You got any more of those agenda tapes?
Oh, yes, sir, I sure do.
I need a couple. I need a agenda and agenda 2. I'm trying to educate some people around here.
Okay,
I've got my set out already. I need another set.
I'll try to get to the meeting tomorrow evening. They're $10 a piece.
If you can, bring me a set tomorrow evening. I'm trying to educate a few people.
I'll do that.
All right.
All right.
Adios.
Okay, where were we?
Fish fry.
We're eating fish, or gonna eat fish. The plates are $8 per plate. Dinners begin serving at 5 p.m. until 7 p.m. This Friday. You will get a generous portion of catfish fillets cooked on site by yours truly. Homemade potato salad, they don't let me at that stuff. Cold slaw and garlic bread, all prepared fresh in our family center kitchen. Also, the ladies' auxiliary has all those sweet goodies. And that is that. Now, we covered everything? Mm-hmm. We've been in a helter-skelter deal all day. We met with Sheriff-elect Mark Garber, and who was the other guy?
That was Carlos Stute, the current chief of police in Karen Crow, who will be Sheriff-elect Garber's chief criminal deputy. And
we'll go through some things on that, but what we covered was refugee resettlement, sanctuary city, gun control, UN police, Homeland Security police. Mm-hmm. Believe me, it was some interesting. The purpose of us going and talking to Mark, we know that he's a constitutional attorney and police officer. And so we just wanted to make sure what page he was on, and we kind of knew, but we wanted to get it cleared up. Brett and him could converse because they policemen. I'm just this guy.
See, for example, one of the questions that has been posed is the status of Lafayette as a sanctuary city. And the way Sheriff Garber describes the issue is we are not a sanctuary city per se. But under his administration, he described a set of issues that local law enforcement has with the feds that have yet to be remedied. What happens is when you detain an illegal person, notice is sent to ICE. And what happens is if ICE decides to act, they would send Sheriff Garber back what is known as a permissive detainer. Now, this has no affidavit, it has no probable cause document, and has no federal court order ordering the detention of this person. A permissive detainer simply says if you choose as a local officer to detain this person, you can. Now, what Sheriff Garber informed us of is there have been several lawsuits where illegals have personally sued local agencies for this detention and have won and gotten money in damages because the feds will not back the local agencies. So what Sheriff Garber says is that until he gets more than a permissive detainer, he says it does not work out for the parish of Lafayette to detain an illegal alien where they are paying $50 a day for that spot if they require specialized medical detention, if they require psychological counseling, and all of the other benefits that are afforded to an inmate at the parish jail. They are on the hook for all of this, and the feds reimburse nothing. And then the feds may eventually decide not to take this person. So what Sheriff Garber says that should be done is that Bill Cassidy and Charles Bustani should enact legislation to where a process would be formulated. If, for example, hypothetically, Sheriff Garber's crew were to pick up an illegal alien, they would then be able to notify ICE, and then they would transport that illegal alien directly to Oakdale, an immediate intake and incarceration, so that other than a gas transport bill, the sheriff of Lafayette and the citizens of Lafayette would incur minimal expenses for that detention.
But now,
Yeah, right now
they pay $54 a day.
And here's the big rub. You may have an illegal alien who is merely a status type offender who is taking up a bed in Lafayette Parish Jail that is keeping them from incarcerating a violent person or a dangerous person because of the federal limits on incarcerated inmates. So what Sheriff Garber proposes is that our legislators, who is now Bustani and Cassidy, enact legislation and get a direct intake process established. That way, it is not on the bill of Lafayette Parish citizens per se at the local level. We all know we already pay federal taxes, so that the feds will house, feed, medicate, counsel, do whatever they need to do with this illegal person in their house, on their bill, with their staff, on their property. And it's also the federal law. So therefore, it should be the federal detention facility's problem.
Yeah, but you have the immigrant in the office, in the big office, who don't care.
Well,
and that makes it a challenge
oh yeah,
for us.
And he wants more illegal immigrants here to bolster the voter rolls and a few other things. So this is one of the big issues that the sheriff was describing, and it puts it in a context in that we are not a sanctuary city per se. They are not giving a blanket endorsement as a sanctuary city. But as a law enforcement officer, that is where Sheriff Garber is coming from, and we need
it's the feds that are saying we're a sanctuary city.
Correct. And a person who is running for political office that we had a discussion with, who was mistaken, and basically at another venue about a week ago, a political candidate who has no knowledge of the situation and should have gotten educated. We went and met with Sheriff Garber to get educated and to get specifics so that we could speak with authority on what the issue is.
Well, and what we created today was a real liaison.
Correct.
Between us and him.
Correct.
And his willingness to sit down. The present sheriff, I don't think we've tried to meet with him many times, and that just didn't happen. And so we have to look at the fact that what really took place, and we're going to talk a little more about the other things we talked about, but the big thing today is we created this line of communications, and he likes that we are doing what we're doing right now, informing the public, because we have all the other wonder kids that are out there, you know, doing this and that. But the sanctuary city thing, I've been hit with that so many times, and I was pleased that I was pretty close. I don't know all the lingo, all the little lingo, but exactly what the meaning is that they can't process them unless they have from the feds. And that's not happening.
And basically, this is a problem that has been created by the feds and by Obama. And again, it falls to local law enforcement to have to deal with the outcome, but not being provided with federal funds to be able to afford to do so. We also spoke with the sheriff about the issue of the refugee resettlement. And one of the reasons why Jim and I both feel like Sheriff Garber is uniquely qualified for this is as a civilian contractor interrogator working with military forces in Iraq. Sheriff Garber has dealt with the issue of the Muslims and the jihadis personally. We're not talking secondhand. He was a chief interrogator and won awards from the military for his efforts over there. So he has a unique and up-close understanding of the issues surrounding the refugees, the religious connotations of bringing refugees of that dimension to this country and the ramifications of their culture and our culture and all of those things. And the sheriff was very, very knowledgeable in that area, and basically agrees with everything that Jim was able to present to him, that we should not be accepting these refugees in this country.
And he does, I mean, he understands, and I mean, some of the things we talked about showed us that he had the big picture.
Oh, yeah.
When we were talking about Spain and Germany and France and England, you know, and what's going there. And
he's keeping track of all of that
himself. He made
himself.
the comment to me that said, we know that's coming here,
right,
if we don't stop it. And it is. And there's people out there, oh, we got to take care of them. You know, but the one thing that I like that he agreed with us is that these were trained military people.
Yes, we brought out the point that every film clip and every still photo that we have seen, without just a few exceptions, are 18 to 35-year-old, very, very good health, very athletic, trained looking, very serious, hardcore Middle Eastern males who do not in any way look like any type of a refugee that you see from any historical pictures or any newsreels from, say, World War II, Korea, Vietnam. I mean, you can look at the newsreels. These people don't look like refugees.
There's no wife. There's no kids.
Correct. So
I mean, if they have a family, I don't have a problem with that.
They don't.
But they don't. Here's the other thing, and I'm probably going to get in trouble for this.
None of them are Christians.
Well, they have that too, but the other thing is that they are finding caches of weapons
all over the U.S.
All over the U.S. in mosque.
Funny you mention that. If you go and check the news, BBC and a few of the other actual news sources, not Fox because they're now compromised, and they've said some things that were just completely out the box. The French have been raiding mosque after mosque after mosque,
them all down,
and they have been finding piles and piles of automatic weapons, RPG-7s, the European version of C4 Semtex, grenades, all type of weaponry that would be used for future terrorist activities, and all hidden in the mosques. The mosques are the central depot for all of this. This is where the jihadis get their ideas. This is where they are educated. This is where they are motivated. This is where their command and control comes from. And this is where their weapons are being stored. And our government had better wake up and smell the coffee, because we are at a crossroads now where San Bernardino, that wasn't even the warm-up. That was just a little taste.
Here's the thing. What we have as administration in Washington, D.C.
They're all Muslims.
They're all Muslims. I mean, really, if you sit down and look at all the different positions
and name them out.
Some of their names you couldn't pronounce.
Well, and the scariest part about it is the person who actually runs this country is an Iranian-born woman by the name of Valerie Jarrett. And Valerie Jarrett has very close ties to the Muslim Brotherhood. And if most accounts from Secret Service sources and other sources are accurate, Valerie Jarrett, more often than not, actually runs this country because Obama is out on the golf course.
Well, here's our reporter said he heard today on the Alex Jones radio show that C-130s land every day in New York and California with refugees.
That we're not being told about.
Yeah, they land in the U.S. with Social Security numbers and new identities, and nobody knows where they go. Folks, and that's treason, because Congress has actually said not now. And I also read, is it FedEx or UPS, that he's bringing them in on those because they see buses pull up to the FedEx or UPS planes. The buses get loaded up, and where they go, nobody knows. And these are Syrian refugees.
But Jim, it's further than just the context you're putting in it. What this is Obama's extra legal military force he always said that he wanted a military force that was above and separate from the U.S. military for his own control, his own Nazi brown shirts. And what is happening is he is bringing in his Muslim brothers who you know will fire on U.S. citizens, will torture U.S. citizens, and will establish Islamic Jihad because, as William Federer taught Jim and I at a seminar a couple months ago, there are only three things to have with Muslims. You either submit and become a Muslim, you die under the sword, or you live and pay the jizya indemnitude. And we have already paid our jizya to the Iranians by our soldiers kneeling in shame and Obama giving them several million dollars. And I passed this by William Federer, who is an Islamic expert. And he said that was correct and my assumptions were accurate. So what Obama has done, he tried to gin up racial strife in this country by starting off with the professor up in the Northeast who was arrested, then by saying Trayvon Martin would have been his son if he would have had one, then by the Michael Brown Ferguson effect, you know, hands up, don't shoot, it's a complete lie.
Black Lives Matter.
And then the Black Lives Matter and all of that type of stuff. So the issue that we are looking at, Obama is bringing in his own personal Muslim shock troops to use on us. And most of them do not have to be directed to do anything.
Yeah, but here's the deal.
They already hate us.
Obama says that every one of them that brought in are vetted.
Oh, like the San Bernardino guys.
But here's the deal. Where are you getting the records on these people overseas?
Well,
there are none.
Let's look at it from the other side, though. Perhaps they are vetted. They're Muslim, they hate Americans, and they're landed here with a purpose.
Well, that's good, Pat.
They're vetted. They're vetted to be a shock force for Obama. We're finding stockpiles of weapons. So why are these pre-positioned stockpiles of weapons in the U.S.? So that those Muslims will be able to arm themselves and to be able to conduct terrorist acts in the U.S. at the behest of our Muslim regime.
Yeah. So a lot of this stuff we covered with Mark and feathered our concerns to Mark about this.
And one of the biggest issues that we covered is that Sheriff Garber is a constitutional sheriff, and Sheriff Garber is a big proponent and supporter of the Second Amendment. In fact, he even went to the point that saying that Karen Crow, Chief of Police and Criminal Deputy-elect Carlos Stute himself is a concealed carry instructor. So we discussed at length the impact of concealed carry as it relates to crime in the community, as it relates to beefing up law enforcement by having good, honest, trained citizens armed, the difference it could have possibly meant at the movie shooting where if a concealed carrier had been there, maybe they could have stopped the person, but since that movie theater does not allow concealed carry, and neither does the other Grand Cinema, we will never know. And that's why those places
other thing we covered
need to be boycotted.
With that whole thing was the scenario of what we've read recently is the UN police. And he was very vehement about the fact that ain't going to happen here.
What we were discussing is that Loretta Lynch has entered into an agreement. Folks, for years and years, Tom and I were told we wore 10 hats and we're all crazy. Our Attorney General has entered into an agreement called the Safe Cities Program where UN police / military will assist local police but are also here to enforce, what is that? Climate change laws. And if you are arrested by UN police, you will be taken to a UN court that is not under the Constitution for adjudication for climate change violations.
If you adjudicate that you don't believe in climate change?
Well, that's coming too. Now that's mainly going to be in effect for the big companies and the big boys to be able to extort money from people. We're taking Sharpton's blackmail and escalating it a notch to the UN gun. But folks, Tom and I have told people for years that the UN is our enemy and that we have to worry about these people. Our sovereignty has just been handed to the UN. If troops / police, and I don't draw a distinction, because if you're looking down a UN gun, it don't matter whether it says Police on the back or just UN. You're looking at combat troops. If they have the power to snatch you up in the United States, our sovereignty is gone.
Mm-hmm.
And you can go online and read about this. I am not just talking out the top of my hat.
All this stuff we're talking about, we didn't just sit around the table and put it all together. We and that's a real basis of the meeting we had today with Mark. It went really well, and like I said, we created a liaison. And there's more things going on in Lafayette right now.
Mm-hmm.
We're just going to keep a lid on some things, especially on the refugee resettlement. There's a lot of people involved in that. And there will be some meetings coming up down the road, kind of limited to people, but so that we can keep it in a good context. I know that when we talked at lunch, we were quite happy with the time we spent. Mark was a little late for the meeting, but we were able to inform some of the employees at the sheriff's office on different things. So that went well, and I think there'll be more meetings in the future. And there's a possibility, maybe May, I gotta set this up, that Mark is willing to come to one of our Patriots meetings and talk about just exactly what we talked about here. Mm-hmm. And answer questions. I don't think he is going to be the present sheriff did a good job. You didn't hear a lot of controversy about him. He put some programs in place that are pretty good programs, and everybody has their deal. But I think with Mark, we're going to see a more presence. Not a big out there presence, but he will go and he will talk to the public and he'll answer the questions. So one of the things I did say to him is that I'd like to get him to come to a meeting and talk, and he's willing to do that. Mm-hmm. Last Thursday was a pretty awesome meeting. Mm-hmm. We talked about it for weeks with Curtis Bauer and his family.
The attendance was excellent.
The attendance was excellent.
In spite of the weather.
In spite of the weather. And
how many people do you think we had there? It looked like we had, what?
70.
Wow.
Around 70 or 75.
And that's a good crowd for that venue.
And to see that family, we had them here 4 years ago, and as I said that night, they were a great influence on me going forward and doing the things I'm doing. You really need to get Agenda and Grinding America Down and Agenda, the Masters of Deceit. There is no doubt. That article that Corey put in that magazine, and I have these Come Lord Jesus meetings at our house on Monday nights. I gave a copy of that magazine to every one of those. I sold 2 sets of tapes that night, mm-hmm. just from them reading the article. It really wakes you up. But the meeting last week was pretty awesome. I mean, Curtis, that's like a walking dictionary. This guy, he don't have a lot of notes.
And we also had a very good appearance by John Fleming.
Yes.
And he gave a very nice talk on his candidacy for David Vitter's Senate position. He gave the information of his platforms and of his ideas and the way things should go. Now, I have to say that I was able to speak in depth with Representative Fleming on the Tuesday, because Jim and I went and saw Curtis Bauer's talk at the mm-hmm. New Orleans Tea Party meeting. And I got to talk to Congressman Fleming in detail. And he's a very, very good man, conservative. I think he's got good head on his shoulders and has good ideas for the people of Louisiana.
And I liked what he said. he came out because we know this stuff's going to happen. But he came out and he said, "You're going to hear all sorts of things about me." And I mean, for him to put that out on the table, but he literally gave his story. I gave him 10 minutes. He actually talked 20, but I factored that in to the evening. And his son, who's his campaign manager, JC Fleming, actually called me over to him and said, "Shouldn't he be done?" And I said, "Don't worry about it.
Yeah, let him run.
I factored all this in."
Yeah.
And he looks at me like, "Whoa." But the thing was, people were intent. One of the things you have to watch being in charge of the meeting is the speaker have the attention of the people?
And he did.
And he did. And so I let him finish, and then when it got to a point where we needed to move on to Curtis, I just held up 2 fingers and told him 2 minutes, and he finished up. And I was appreciative of that. I want to get into this, and then we got here. You know, people, and I'm one of them, or was, wondered why people voted the way they do in Congress.
It's a mystery.
And it's not a mystery anymore.
We got the facts now.
We have this page. You remember the TPA, the trade pact? John Boehner got $5 million. Ryan got $2 million. And McConnell got $9 million. Is there any doubt why the TPA passed?
But Jim, that's before he had his bone marrow transplant and his testosterone injections this morning. He's different now. He actually grew a set.
Here's what people don't understand. There is big money
in lobbyists.
In the lobbyists.
Bought and paid
for.
So
here's contributions to House members from forces favorable to Obama trade outnumbered those from the opposed. Factor 8.6 times. $197,869,145 to $23,065,231.
We were outspent.
This is what goes on in D.C. I brought this up to Fleming, by the way, and he goes, "Oh yeah."
So Jim, basically the assertion from this article is we do not have legislators, we do not have congressmen, we do not have senators.
They don't care about us.
No, Washington is full of a bunch of elected prostitutes who will take Visa, MasterCard, gold, silver, or whatever else, and will go to the highest bidder like the whores of Babylon.
Here's a statistic.
Does that make it Sodom and Gomorrah?
Sodom and Gomorrah.
Yeah. Is that what we're talking?
Here's a statistic now. This bill alone, okay, there were 32 House members with over $1 million in contributions, and many who were just below the threshold. In the Senate, only 5 senators. There's how many? 100? Only 5 senators were below the $1 million mark, and 2 of those, Jeff Sessions, a Republican in Alabama, and Mike Lee, a Republican in Utah, voted no and against betrayal of their country. The formula in the House seems fairly simple. Speaker Boehner got a cool $5 million. I mean, what? Mike McCarthy, a Republican, half that at $2.4 million. Steve Scalise, gee, let's see, where is he? Oh, he's a Republican from Louisiana, got half again at $1.2 million.
And he's one of the big dogs up there now. He's a committee guy.
Paul Ryan, the price of American sovereignty was $2.2 million. And it goes on and on and on. And this, now I don't want you people taking this as an endorsement. Why do you think all these boys are scared of Trump?
Self-funding. Doesn't take money from anybody. He doesn't play the game.
Self-funded, and he's not tied to the Saudis.
Yeah.
He's not tied to no corporations.
He's already a billionaire. You can't buy him. He's already got all his money. You can't threaten him. Can't buy him. Whether you love Trump or you hate Trump, he beholds to no man.
You know what? I would like to go on Fox News.
Good luck with that.
And bring this out.
They're bought and paid for, too.
I don't think I would probably get out of the subway.
They'd stick Greta Van Susteren on and she'd chew on your leg.
Oh, gee.
She's the resident ankle biter.
You wonder, and don't get me wrong, I'm not endorsing anybody. But I'll tell you what I have lost is a lot of respect for Cruz. And why?
The attacks on Trump.
The attacks on Trump.
Over that Chicago
and the
rally.
one that took me over the top to lose respect for Cruz was the fact that he blamed Trump for the riots in Chicago. That was Black Lives Matter,
MoveOn.org.
MoveOn.org, Soros,
Paid for it all.
and today Bernie Sanders admitted it was his people up there stirring the...
So let's look at the big picture. We have a military organization that is conducting guerrilla warfare against any conservatives who try to get up and speak. They are paid for, they are organized, and they have communication networks set up to foment these types of riots and situations. And folks, this is what we have always been saying. Right now, the economy is intact. What happens to these folks whenever the economy falls?
Yep.
They're organized, they are stratified, they have communications, they're receiving money, and these are communist organizations, folks. These are not good people.
You can go to a place published by maplight.org. It talks about anyone who wonders how millionaires or billionaires are made on congressional salary can get some good insight from this information published by maplight.org. Maplight.org. Just go there. We can't make this stuff up, people. I want people to understand this because I will tell you, until 3 years ago, I would have never believed this crap. I grew up in a little town of 400 people. Red, white, and blue, baby. July 4th, fireworks everywhere.
Now you're depressed, huh?
No, I'm not depressed. I'm mad. I'm mad.
You wound up.
And people, when you talk, I don't know what to say to tell you. It's frustrating. I can't believe that people think Bernie Sanders and Hillary would be good leaders in our country. Socialism doesn't work.
Never has.
Never has. Russia, China. I mean, in China, if you have more than one baby, what happens? I mean, really?
And by the way, one thing you're touching on in China, the political police in China can arrest you for any infraction, whether real or imagined, and drag you off to a work camp, and that's it.
Look what happened in North Korea.
We're here too now.
Hey, look at North Korea. The guy stole a banner.
15 years.
15 years.
Oh, but wait, what Hardwell is saying here, drive through the city of Vinton, Louisiana with more than $200 in your pocket. And they pull you over and they do a Terry stop type frisk to check you for weapons. If they find more than $200, you have to go to court to prove your money is legit, and you may only get a percentage back. And you have to hire a lawyer to do it, and they don't pay for the lawyer. We call those road pirates.
I mean,
Vinton, Louisiana.
did you tell the people why they shut down I-10?
Oh, yes. We found out why I-10 at the Sabine River is shut down. Dumbbell Edwards is trying to stop more out-migration from Louisiana because of his high tax policies. So he said that the road is closed and has state troopers blocking the road. It's not for floodwaters, people. He's trying to stop the bleeding and the overflow of out-migration because everybody is saying, I'm fired up, I'm going to Texas. So he's got troopers turning people around over there. There's not a flood over there, people. It's actually to stop the out-migration.
Hey, Hillary got an endorsement. Yeah. The KKK Grand Dragon endorses Hillary Clinton for president.
Well, they got pictures of her smooching on Robert KKK Byrd. He was her mentor. He was the Gland Kleigel of the KKK, whatever that is. Clucker, Kleigel, whatever.
Trump was recently criticized for a perceived reticence to disavow the endorsement of former KKK leader
Jim,
David Duke.
why is it that the Democrats always accuse Republicans of what they do?
Where's that list? What do we do with that list? One of the things that we were talking about, Dumbbell
Didn't
Edwards.
you show it to Tom? You showed it to Tom, and then
No, I didn't show it to Tom, but it's in your packet. Here's the thing. I'm proud. I think two of the people from here are good people, and if I ever get all my stuff straightened out and get over to Baton Rouge, political horizons. Edwards and Alario faced a gang of no against taxes in the state house. The sharpness in Governor John Bel Edwards' voice at the close of the special session last week and the frustration that welled in the eyes of Senate President John Alario, who's been around forever, can be traced back to the Gang of No. Called a number of names during the legislative session. He called them out. Gang of No is one of the more polite, get it? More polite. They are 21 representatives sitting literally in the right wing of the House chamber.
good place to be.
Who consistently blocked efforts to raise revenues. They're all Republicans, but from a different parts of the GOP, conservative Christians, Tea Partiers, pro-business supporters, and small government ideologues.
Doing their job.
They voted nay in at least 20 of the 22 seminal votes, including those that changed tax exemptions, rolled back deductions on income tax return, increased taxes on cigarettes and alcoholic beverages, and added another penny dollar to the sales tax.
Excellent.
Cha-ching. And we know a couple of them. I'm
Yeah.
not going to name names.
Check your stack for the Hillary list. You still got it somewhere in there.
I got it in here. Go ahead.
Go ahead, caller. There you go.
There we go.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey. Look, hey, I'm listening to y'all right now. That article that Jim had in his hand just a few minutes ago. Can you tell me where that originates from?
I don't know.
Well,
I got it in an email.
you can look at maplight.org.
Yeah, I haven't gone there, but I think I got this off of somebody on Facebook.
Oh.
Let's see.
It's not listed on there. I'm sorry that I don't know exactly where I
It
got
says
that
right
from.
here that maplight.org is the statistical source for all of the information.
So if you go to maplight.org, you can probably find that.
The writer,
Light or light?
map as in Mike Alpha Papa and light.
LIGHT.
.org. Now, the actual author of the article is a fellow by the name of Rick Wells, W-E-L-L-S, and I'm sure if you Google him,
Wait, no, here at the bottom.
yeah, that's what I'm looking at.
No, here, right there.
Well,
Okay.
you can go to www.rickwells.us, but you can also Google his name, and his
Oh,
name
yeah,
would pull it
yeah.
up too. And it goes through all of this, and Jim just scratched the surface, because you go through this thing right here. I mean, it's like reading
We just scratched the surface.
the
buddy.
chapter and verse of the whores of Babylon.
I mean, when you look at the,
Hey, you have plenty of them.
Oh, Lord,
We know that. Okay.
we have the best
all
politicians.
right, I
money
hope
can
that
buy.
helps you.
All right.
All right,
Okay. Bye-bye.
bye. Now we found,
The Clinton scandal list, and boy, it's long.
this is minor. You know that another close associate of theirs found the graveyard last week. Uh-oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, caller. Hello.
Hello?
Hey, y'all are doing a great job. I hope y'all keep up the good work. Listen, did y'all hear about this? The left is planning a big demonstration all over the country, shutting down. They're trying to shut down different. It's aimed at Trump, but it's also aimed at the Republicans.
Well, yeah, that's what we were just discussing previously. Was the Black Lives Matter MoveOn.org George Soros funded organized campaign that will engage any conservatives and attempt to silence them. Now, I talked to a good friend of mine today. I was over at the Infinity Salon getting my hair cut by my barber, Dave over there, good guy, and he's a big motorcycle enthusiast. And what we thought would be appropriate was for all of the Vietnam veterans who are motorcycle riders, for them to ride their motorcycles to the Trump rallies and to be there as conservative supporters for Trump. And they're motivated and they're experienced, and if the Trump people get too loud, they can simply rev their motorcycles up and drown them out.
That'll intimidate them anyway.
Well, you know, the veteran and the bikers did an excellent job.
They're not happy with.
Do you remember in Texas a few years ago, a gentleman called 911 to report that his neighbor was being burglarized, and while he's on the phone with 911, oh, look, there they are. Bloom, bloom, I got them, they're down. Well, it looked like Black Lives Matter sent protest people out there, and Sharpton and Jackson's people were out there. But they were met by a couple of hundred bikers who every time they tried to spew forth the racial stuff from BLM, the bikers revved up the motorcycles and drowned them out. So they couldn't get anything done, so they left. So I think that all of the bikers of a conservative nature and all of the veteran bikers should band together and go out and support the conservatives and be the conservative force to counter the Black Lives Matter and the MoveOn.org.
That's a good idea, and I was a biker all my life, and I understand most bikers are very conservative and very patriotic.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why I'm mentioning this. I think they are the perfect people to go out there.
I just wanted to say that George Soros is, of course, in control of the Obama administration.
Yes, he is.
We're trying to get him magically shipped to Russia.
You know, there's an arrest warrant out by the Russians and by Interpol, and the Russians have labeled, the KGB and Putin have labeled Soros as a national security threat.
To a national
security threat over here also.
He ruined their economics.
I just wanted to say, I really believe, Tom Parker talked about this. There's going to be a big, huge government-sponsored, behind-the-scenes government-sponsored riot that's going to shut the country down, so to speak. And what they're trying to do is start a anarchy. They want the complete anarchy. So here's the plan. And Parker and I talked about this. I'm a good friend of his. They want to get a big anarchy, lose control of the crowd and have a lot of bloodshed. Then they can declare martial law. Then they start picking up guns, city.
And that's why the jihadis have been flown in plane by plane by plane to be Obama's brown shirts, because the Black Lives Matter movement has not got the shooting started yet. So they want the Muslims here with all those weapons caches to really be able to stir stuff.
Let me give you an overview here. I'm on Facebook all the time. And I will tell you this. I am seeing more anger every day. And not from the BLM, but from the other side. I'm seeing more and more people talking. So that scenario you talked about may be in trouble, because it may get stopped before it gets started. And I'm telling you, more and more people have now awakened. And I'll tell you who helped with that. Was Mitt Romney. When he gave his speech,
he pissed off more Americans.
He pissed off more American people and boosted Trump's percentage.
Yeah, people are saying, why couldn't he have come out and said stuff like that about Obama? Mr. Milquetoast?
Yeah.
The nutless wonder?
But I mean, that's the bottom line.
But I think the Obama administration is going to keep on trying to stir up shit and keep on trying to foment.
Oh, of course.
Anarchy.
But you see,
I think they're in game.
Of course.
To declare martial law if they can get away with it.
And that's why we just talked about the fact that they want to have the UN climate police over here. So he'll have his Muslim jihadis, Black Lives Matter, and UN combat troops here in the U.S. that will do his bidding. That way, he does not have to worry about whether American law enforcement will fire on American citizens if guns are confiscated. He's got Muslims.
Private army also. He's got the EPA, all the different government agencies are all well armed. They're his private army. They're going to do what he says to do. So
here's the one thing they don't have.
He said he was going to have an army larger than the U.S. Army itself.
Sure.
He's doing it.
But here's the one thing he doesn't realize. He ticked off the military. And I am telling you right now.
And the veterans, especially,
And
with
the
the
veterans.
antics with the
And
Veterans
the veterans.
Administration. Woo!
And you let Hillary keep shooting her mouth off about
Benghazi.
Benghazi
We didn't
and-
lose a single person at Benghazi. Really?
I will tell you, the military is at a point where they're about ready to go to the White House.
Mutiny.
Very close.
I agree. Things are getting that way. The military might have to intervene in this government situation. It's getting so bad between the government, the Obama supporters, and the Trump supporters. They're going to go to war with each other, if nothing else.
Yep.
Got it.
It reflects the anger that's out there.
Okay. We
Keep
want
up the
to.
good work, fellas. Y'all are doing a great job.
All right.
I really believe, like I told Tom, you're influencing Donald Trump, and you're influencing the entire country. You may not realize it, but y'all are. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank
Keep up the
you.
good work.
Catch you later.
And now, breaking news.
Yes, a historical perspective on the Hillary Clinton kill list.
And this is a short list. We don't have the kill list. Oh,
Well, this actually is the kill list. It's just encapsulated in
Exactly.
bigger issues.
here we go. Hillary Clinton scandals. Watergate, 1974. What was the scandal there?
When she was working in the law offices of several politicians and was caught lying and was fired from the Watergate investigation. Fired.
And eventually, what? Lost her license. Whitewater, 1978. I remember this.
Now,
the thing.
Whitewater was pretty interesting.
That was
because-
an Arkansas thing,
Yes.
right?
What happened? That was when she was the lady in charge with Bill Clinton in the governor's mansion. And what happened with Whitewater was, as part of the Rose law firm, she was able to make some insider trades and make some investments and make some big bucks. Now, the third one is laughable. This is actually a joke.
Foster's suicide.
Okay, folks, I don't know if y'all recall the facts of this suicide, but let me give you the quick thing. Vince Foster was found with 3 bullets in his noggin, no blood at the scene, and his finger was stuck behind the trigger of the revolver. Boy, that's one heck of a dying reflex, huh?
Yeah.
3 shots to the head, no blood at the scene. Here's what I think. I think, and this is well known, that her and old Vince were having relations. And Vince also knew all about the hemophiliac scandal. You see, Uncle Bill Clinton, when he was the governor, got together with the wardens up there in Arkansas, and he got several thousand gallons
Genocide.
of AIDS, you had HIV, every other disease you can think of, infected blood that was sold to Canadian hemophiliacs who died by the thousands. And Vince Foster was the person who was handling that, and then mysteriously was found in that park with no blood at the scene. You know, it must have been those little alien guys in the spaceships,
I think
because
it's
there
the
was
guys
no
came
blood.
down from Mars.
Yeah, there was no blood, just like
And
that.
then we had Travelgate.
Oh, Lord.
And then Chinagate.
Folks, I don't know if y'all recall, but prior to the Clinton administration, China was severely lacking in the intercontinental ballistic missiles. In other words, missiles that could fly from China to here.
Hey.
Do you know that now?
Sure.
Oh, yeah. Now, today, because of Bill Clinton, China can hit every part of the continental U.S. with a nuclear
Except
missile
the tip of Florida.
accurately. And the sheer lunacy of it is, Bill Clinton still lives here. They can blow him up too.
Staging technology and navigation.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
accuracy.
Senate campaign donations in 2000.
Oh, you mean all those foreign countries, like all those those
and
Muslim
right
countries?
below that is the Clinton Foundation.
Well, here we go.
2001 to 2015. There is so much money in that account.
And they're
from-
keeping the Democratic Party running right now with all those illegal funds.
Yeah, that's why you think Hillary is being.
Oh, here's the good one.
And Sandy Berger.
The Sandy Burglar. This is when Sandy Berger was allowed as an official to go into the U.S. archives, and he removed documents, stuffed them in his shorts, and was caught.
And caught. And then we have WikiLeaks.
Oh, yeah.
You know, at the time, I thought that was really a bad thing, but I don't think it was a bad thing. I really don't, that guy.
Oh, he burst it all over.
And then we have, nobody died here.
Yes, Hillary said nobody died in Benghazi. We did not lose a
Benghazi in
single person.
2012.
So the ambassador and the three other people, Glenn Doherty, Chris Stevens, Ty Woods, and Sean Miller, were not people. We don't know what they were, but Hillary says they were not people, so we don't know what they
30
were.
seconds. And the last one we could talk about for the whole next hour.
Private emails.
Private emails.
Don't you love it?
It is totally illegal to have a server at your house outside of the government buildings.
But she was bought and paid for. That way she had an easy server to crack so that everybody could hack it. That way they could get all the information of our agents and be able to go after them. That's why.